Hey guys, it's Oz, and I'm going to be talking about things that I'm still not used to while living in Japan. So awesome! This video is brought to you by all my Patreon supporters. Go Team Awesome! If you're new to my channel, please subscribe and also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter to see my Japanese life. So I've lived in Japan for almost a decade, but there's still some things that I haven't gotten used to or I just don't quite get, even though I've been here in Japan so long. So here's a list of 12 things that I could think of. I'm sure there's a lot more. Also, if you're living in a country that's not your home country, let me know what you find weird or you can't get used to in that country. Leave it in the comment section below. Anyway, let's get started. I know this one is now probably worldwide because of the coronavirus pandemic. But there was a time not too long ago where most people didn't wear masks other than like scientists and doctors. Of course that changed with COVID, but Japan had adopted masks way before that. Most Japanese people wear masks during cold and flu season, not only to protect themselves from other people's germs, but to limit the spread of their own germs. So when COVID hit, we were wearing masks for the same reason anyway. But besides that, Japanese people also wear masks to protect themselves from allergies. A lot of Japanese people have pollen allergies and other air allergies, so they wear masks often. Also, a lot of Japanese people wear masks for privacy. There are a lot of celebrities or some people that work in the red light district, for example, who need to, when they're on the street, not get noticed, so they wear masks. And lastly, a lot of people wear masks in Japan for fashion. Especially now, there's tons of places that sell a whole bunch of masks with different colors, designs, characters, and so on. But even after saying all that, I still can't get used to wearing a mask. I actually wear a mask every day when I go to work, while I'm at work, while I'm teaching classes. Also, when I'm going shopping or I go anywhere, whenever I enter somewhere indoor, I usually have to wear a mask. But I still haven't been able to get used to it. Especially if I'm not wearing my contacts. If I'm wearing my glasses always fog up. Hello. Also, I guess I'm wearing like cheaper surgical masks, so like the band behind my ear starts hurting a lot, especially when I've had it on the entire day for like 8 hours. And especially with surgical masks, because they're really papery thin, over time, because of my breath, they get moist and like the fibers start coming out and it gets stuck on my lips and stuff, and it's kind of like gross and annoying. And they tickle my nose. I know they're gonna be a permanent part of life in Japan and probably outside as well from now on, so I should start getting used to them. Luckily, this doesn't affect me directly because I'm a foreigner and I'm an English teacher, so usually we don't get any overtime. But overtime for Japanese people is pretty much a given. And a lot of times it's assumed that overtime is just done, you don't get paid extra for it. For example, even at my school, I work from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. I get paid my monthly salary and I can leave right 4 o'clock on the dot. And it's funny because they kind of want me to leave, even the principal or whatever, if it's even like a couple of minutes past 4, he'll like point at his watch and go, okay, you can go. But it's not the same with the Japanese teachers. The Japanese teachers usually arrive a little bit earlier than me or around the same time as me, but they always leave after me. I don't know how late they stay, 5, 6, 7, 8, or even later, but they're always there. And they're also on a monthly salary, so they don't get paid overtime. Most companies are similar that pay salaries, they don't pay overtime. So even though this doesn't affect me directly, it does affect people around me. For example, Mayu or my friends, whenever they have plans or whenever we have some kind of event to go to, a lot of the times I'll get a phone call or a message saying that because of work they're gonna be late or they have to cancel or they have to do overtime, so they won't be able to make it on time. So yeah, Japanese people have it tough. I should be used to this because almost every single night, especially on weekends when I'm walking my dog, there are piles of puke all over the floor that I have to like dodge so my Maple won't lick it. Cause he's weird like that and I know he likes it, right? But it still surprises me when I see an old man hunched over a bush just puking his guts out. It's usually business people or university students out partying after work or after school, and most of them are wearing fancy suits or dresses, and they're usually like passed out on the floor or they're hunched over with puke all over their suits or their skirts or whatever, and somebody's holding their hair back and another person is giving them like a bottle of water. It's very weird. I like drinking and I've even gotten drunk before. And yes, I've puked. The great puking of 2016. But it's very rare and almost never in public. And it's definitely not with my coworkers or my boss. But here in Japan, drunkenness is acceptable at any age. And if you go to a company party especially, you'll notice all your coworkers drink to the extreme. I guess a company that pukes together stays together. I'd understand if it was like high school kids who like paid somebody to get some liquor and then they just went into a park and started drinking, got really drunk and puked. That would make sense. But after seeing a group of like 50-year-olds standing outside an izakaya and a lady with like wine puke all over her dress and like noodle puke all over the floor. It's just an image that I will never find normal. When I mean ghosting, this doesn't necessarily have to be about relationships, although that is quite common. But along with boyfriends and girlfriends, this happens with friends and coworkers as well. And in my experience, it's happened to me a lot. It's also happened to some other people that I know, both men and women. One day things are great, and the next day they just disappeared. Their social medias closed down, their numbers blocked, and there's no goodbyes, they're just gone. I also made a video about getting ghosted, so if you want to see what happened in that, you can click on the card there, or in the information section I'll leave a link. Also, once I had this guy who was like in his 40s who wanted to learn English, and he found me on a website, and he came to my house every week for like almost a year, every Saturday. We did a 1-hour lesson, and in that lesson we would do some free conversation. He liked the TV show 24, so we'd watch little clips of that and talk about that. He also liked old, I guess, classic rock, so we used to talk about stuff like that. He actually seemed to really enjoy his lesson. Then after almost a year, just one Saturday, he didn't show up. I sent him an email asking if he was okay. No reply. I had his phone number, so I decided to call him after a week just to make sure he's not sick or anything, and also no reply. So I wasn't connected to him on social media, but I was still connected to him through the English site where he found me as an English teacher. But when I went there to send him a message, his profile had been deleted. It's so weird because there was no reason and nothing happened. And if you talk to Japanese people, they'll tell you that, yeah, that's happened to them a lot before, but they don't find it weird. I just can't get used to it. This is very straightforward. This is the worst food I've ever tried in my life. It's sticky, it smells weird, it looks like mucus, and it also tastes like phlegm. In my entire life in Japan, I've tried it maybe 5 or 6 times, but I still can't get used to it. Every time I put it in my mouth, I gag. So I gave up. By squatters, I'm not talking about homeless people that break into a house and just live there. I'm talking about the toilets. These traditional Japanese toilets are the ones that are like a hole in the ground where you have to squat down to relieve yourself. I actually made a video talking about that as well and how I failed so bad on that. If you want to check out that video, that's also in the cards, or you can find it in the links below. I guess the main reason is I don't have the flexibility to squat like that. I mean, I'll use it if I really have to and I can't find any other option and I can't hold it any longer. They're just really low down, they're hard to maneuver, and I just don't have the balance or the coordination or the strength in my legs to deal with that. Taking a dump should be relaxing and fun, not like going to the gym. Though Japan is advanced in many ways, it's also very backwards in others. We still use fax machines and a lot of paper files, a lot more than you'd believe. There are forms for everything. Government documents, legal documents, medical documents, home documents, cell phone documents, any kind of purchase documents. There's just a document for everything. You even need tons of documents just for like something simple like going to a dog park. One example is like renewing your driver's license. You get a form in the mail, which is fine, but then you have to take that form to a table or a counter in the driver's center and get another form in exchange for that form. Then you have to go to another table or a counter, get a stamp and get a form and put the stamp on that form and give it to another counter. Then they give you another form and you take that form to where you get your eye test and I guess your like medical check. And then they give you another form and take the first form. Then for the renewal, you have to do these special classes, so you get a whole bunch of forms to read and then another form to sign, to hand in, and then they give you another form to prove that you went to that class. Finally, before you leave, you get one final form to say you got everything right and that a form will be sent to you in the mail along with your new license. Yeah, I think they killed an entire tree just for my case. Japanese people say slurping noodles is good for 2 reasons. Number 1 is that the ramen noodles taste way better. And also they say when you slurp, it cools down the noodles so it's not as hot when you're putting in your mouth. I disagree on both counts. To me, noodles taste the same whether I slurp them in my mouth or if I take them in slowly. I don't think speed or sound has anything to do with taste. So I can't really say much about that. But for cooling it down, I think it has the opposite effect. When I take noodles, I take them, slowly blow on them, put them in my mouth and slowly suck them in so I can actually cool them down, and then I bite it when I can't take any more in my mouth and I chew them, and then that's how I eat my noodles. But what Japanese people do is they just inhale a whole ton of noodles into your mouth, and maybe that 1 millisecond of air that when they're slurping says to cool it down, but I think it actually burns your inner mouth even more. At least that's the way it works with me. Also, it's loud and annoying and it takes a lot more work. I rather enjoy my noodles by biting them and chewing on them. But that's just me. Many people who live in countries with really hot climate will share their hate for summer heat. Whether you're in Dubai or Singapore or Arizona, the summer heat can be really brutal, especially the humidity. Well, Japan is like that too in the summer. The months of June, July, and August are extremely humid. You start sweating as soon as you step out of the shower. Now I'm fat, I'm Canadian, and I've lived in a basement my entire life. So heat was never something I really had to worry about. So my body was not ready for the massive amounts of sweat that comes with the summer in Japan, and I thought I'd get used to it over the years, but I've still been here and every year I still feel just as hot and sweaty. It's so brutal in Japan, I have to take like 2 or 3 showers a day and have a change of clothes, usually at least 1 or 2 t-shirts per day. And the weird thing is, while I'm literally sweating my ass off, Japanese people they look like they haven't sweat at all. Sometimes there's someone on the train or on the bus and they have a little towel and they just kind of dab their forehead. I guess trend following is true for many parts of the world, especially for young people, right? But I think in Japan it's extra true, and it continues on to even senior citizens. When Japanese people find something they like, they go all in. For example, a few years ago, someone made some TV show or something that said, if you eat 2 bananas a day or 3 bananas a day, you'll lose tons of weight. They called it the banana diet or something, and literally for months afterward, there were no bananas in supermarkets. They were sold out everywhere. The entire country was in a banana shortage. Another instance is this celebrity named Rora. She decided to wear these kind of floral pants, I guess spandex floral pants or yoga pants kind of things. And literally for the entire year, every single girl was wearing floral pants like that. It was like a tablecloth at your grandma's house. It's with food, it's with fashion, it's even with music. One song hits really big in Japan and the entire year it's like popular. One song gets popular in Japan and everybody listens to it and uses it for every commercial, every event, every wedding, every like sports day for the entire year. Last year was a song called USA by Da Pump. Literally everyone from kindergarten to seniors knew and loved that song. And I'm a fan of food and fashion and trends and music and movies, but I just can't get into something that much. Maybe it's the Japanese groupthink, but for me, I just can't get used to seeing everyone wearing the same clothes, eating the same food, singing and dancing to the same song. Once again, maybe it's just me. This one I was kind of able to understand, but I still don't get it. The rules of garbage are really specific in Japan. I get that there's plastic bottles and cans and newspapers and regular garbage and recycling and stuff like that. That makes sense. But in Japan, there's just so many categories, it's hard to remember what goes where. There's burnable, unburnable, pet bottles, cans, glass bottles, bottle caps, papers, magazines, cardboard boxes, big garbage, and compost food garbage. There's aerosol can and battery, furniture and appliances, and all of them are taken on a different day of the week or a different week of the month in a different colored bag. So it's almost like rocket science. And the last thing that I found weird or I can't get used to in Japan is hostess or host bars and girls bars. I've only been to a hostess club once and I made a video about the experience. If you want to watch that, once again, card there or link in the information section. And I have been to a few girls bars, especially when I lived in Hokkaido, because in my town there was nothing really else to do on a weekend. But I don't understand the appeal that Japanese men and women have to these places. Those of you who don't know what a host or hostess bar is or what a girls bar is, a host or hostess bar, it's pretty simple. It's a fancy joint where women or men dressed in suits or like evening gowns serve you alcohol and sit beside you and talk to you for money. It's not supposed to be sexual, and maybe sometimes it ends up being that, but overall it's just where you go to drink and talk to somebody. They basically sit there, they pour drinks for you, and they listen to you complain or talk about your life or talk about anything you really want to talk about, your work or your job or your bad relationships or whatever. And while they're doing that, they console you by kind of like looking at you and touching your arm or maybe leaning on you or putting their hand on your thigh or something like that. They're almost like substitute boyfriends or girlfriends. It's kind of like a strip club if you took away the naked girls, the dancing, and the loud music. Okay, so that's nothing like a strip club. But girls' bar is a little bit different. They're a little bit more casual. They have a more casual atmosphere. The girls are usually wearing just regular, I guess, skirts and t-shirts and stuff like that. It's almost like a Hooters restaurant kind of vibe. Either way, with host or hostess clubs or girls bars, I feel I can't get used to it because it's just too expensive and I don't see the point. Usually you have to pay for an entrance charge to get in, and when you pay for drinks, you also have to pay for the drink of the person, the girl or the guy that you're talking to as well. And they also expect some kind of tip at the end of the night as well. So for like a couple of hours, you could easily spend hundreds of dollars and walk away with just having had a few drinks and a kind of a awkward conversation. I can do that free every day. I get it if you're like really antisocial and you can't really talk to anybody, but a lot of these people who go there are either married or already have a boyfriend or girlfriend. Why go through all that trouble? If you're gonna cheat, cheat hard. But they just go there because no one else will pay attention to them, so they just want attention. I think it's kind of sad. And maybe it's part of the Japanese culture and stems from like the geisha era, where businessmen or groups of men would go to visit these establishments and drink, and the geisha would pour them drinks and sing for them and play instruments for them and dance for them. But at least geisha did something. These hostesses, they don't sing, they don't dance, they don't really have any fun stories or anything interesting to say. They're just kind of there as like, I don't know what they're there for. Anyway, there you go, 12 things that I can't get used to in Japan. Hope you enjoyed it and let me know if I'm missing anything. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to thumbs up if you like this video and share. Also, I started a monthly newsletter where I just kind of update you on my life or my newest videos or that kind of stuff. And so far I have only like 3 people who are my newsletter subscribers, and it's free. So if you go to the information section, you can go to the link and I can send you a monthly newsletter about Japan and about me, I guess. Please click on the link and subscribe to my newsletter. Yay. And if you do want to support me even more, then you can of course go to my Patreon, and even for just $1 a month, you can get a lot more videos about Japan and about life in Japan. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe because my videos are awesome. OzzyAwesome. Take care and see you next time. Peace.